Beautiful day, Patriots. How are you? We're talking about the English language and etymology and the history of America and how witchcraft all ties into this experiment of America. Yes? And we know that the English language is a very new language. Now, I want to do something just a little bit different right now. We're going to listen to two. Michael from around the world did a show last night. It was almost 3 hours, and you can find that in the archives at counciloftime.com. And we're going to listen to two sections on video. One's 1 minute and 30 seconds, the other is just another almost 2 minutes, not quite. And we're going to listen to those, but we're also going to talk right now about one of the sections in the show last night. Okay, and he was talking about how history is backwards. Now, he's been in many, many times in the past, many shows throughout the years. He's always hinting, explaining, and showing that we're not being told the true history. But, you know, how do you go out and just say things? He does a great explanation of talking about, but he says many times during this segment of his show last night, history is backwards, history is backwards, history is backwards. And I'm talking about how the English language hides things by mirroring and using the words backwards. So it's funny to me, it stuck out. He went on to say again in that segment that reversed history hides. And I thought, wow, that's a weird way of putting it. And he was talking about why he was saying that was that he says, as we are told, that history repeats itself. Yes? And so if we are scholars in history and we are looking for patterns of history repeating itself, but we are studying history that is not the truth, we would never ever be able to see the patterns of history repeating itself because of us studying the wrong history. Yes, so that was a big part of what he was talking about. And then to finish off that segment, he said something that I found funny because I don't know if when a person uses the word today, we're not always sure if he's talking about today as in this 24-hour period or in this day of time and era and today our generation, that today that we live in. But he did say, to finish it off, reverse history was done today. And I thought that was kind of ironic. But now let's go ahead and listen to two of his shows and talk about and listen to what he was saying. So the first one's right here.
Spiritual aspect to what's coming is not measured. I'm amazed sometimes because I see people, they go out here, they believe in ghosts and goblins and E.T., they believe in fairies and all this other stuff. But they will not believe in the resolve of Jesus Christ. They will not believe in the sovereignty of the living God. They refuse, but they'll believe in every component of existence except for the Creator and the King of creation. That is mind-boggling. It really is. Mind-boggling. But that's precisely where the world is. And if you're not careful, it's a very slippery slope. We're not talking about, we're not talking about the grammar thing.
What grammar thing?
Slippery slopes and all those things.
What grammar thing?
Metaphors. Mm-hmm. But if we're not careful, we can be caught in the trap of thinking or going through the process and exercising ways like we believe in him without ever believing in him. That can happen. Let me put you to the test. Here it is. You ready? Spiritual aspect to what's coming.
All right, so that was the first one. I'm not sure what grammar he was talking about because when he did that, it came out of nowhere. So he talks to many people, right? It's not just one person. Sometimes he uses and calls people's names and tells people's names. and sometimes he's not. But I don't know what he was talking about grammar thing. He was talking about reversed history. Now let's listen to this next one. I want you to pay attention to how matter-of-factly he answers this question. He had a Q&A last night, questions and answers from his chat room, and somebody asked him a question, and listen to how matter-of-factly he answers this. Now this man, if you followed him for a long time, you can understand that. Well, here we go. And I also want to repeat before we go into this, with our studies this past week within etymology and how witchcraft works and how our leaders' names and the words keep coming up to reptilian leaders, right? Now let's listen to what Michael from around the world said last night as he gets asked a question.
Okay, folks. Questions? It's 9:17. Since I haven't been here in a while, I need some questions. You guys have asked no questions. What if it's a reptilian that is hurting you? Should you do good to them as well? Interesting question, isn't it? You ready? You ready? If a demon was hurting me, I need to go to the Father and ask the Father, what have I done that this demon can penetrate the blood of the Lamb? Because here's the truth. You ready for this truth? Nothing has a right to lay its hands on you unless you give it permission. And the real question is, where are we when stuff like that happens? Because let's face it, this is a truth of truths here, folks. I want you to look back into your lives and look at how many things you chose that should have killed you. I mean, we chose it, and it really should have killed us. We didn't ask permission. We didn't ask guidance with it or anything else. We saw, we lusted, we desired, we pictured and envisioned and had all these beautiful visions of something. Then when it bit us, we said, oh, it's a snake, right? But the truth is, we chose the snake in the beginning, knowing it was a snake. Didn't ask anybody's permission, didn't want anybody's permission. We were grown-ups, right? We didn't want anybody's input on this. This was our decision. We can do what we want. So we ran out there and bought a snake and tried to tell ourselves, I can change it, didn't we? Then one day it goes, it bites you. And when it bites you, it reminds you it's a snake. So I'll say this. When you put yourself in a position, when we choose a position based off lust, it normally does not end up good. But that, listen, the Lord always provides a way of escape out of sin. Hear me on this. That means if you're in a sinful situation, all you have to do is ask the Lord, and He will guide you in a way out. He will always make a way of escape out of sin.
Amen.
But you have to be serious. Okay, folks.
So I find that funny that, as we are talking about, and it's not just, there's this reptilian based creatures, species on the earth. This is not new. This goes back thousands of years. There's relief carvings and buildings and pyramids all over the world. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's been around for, as long as buildings can stand and rocks can stand. Okay? Now, the other part that I found funny on that question was, reptilian herding. And we were talking about how HT and Twitter, they're using it as hat tip. But if you look in the dictionary, HT is called herding test. Also, if a snake bit you, would it look like 2 vaccine marks? I don't know. If you got 2 vaccines, would it look like a snake bite? And did not President Trump have the snake and read the poem, I am a snake, you silly fool woman? I'm sure these are all coincidences, But it's up to you to follow who you want.